So today we're together with Dr. Michael Greger, and he is a fantastic man. We hope you will enjoy the interview with him. He is, as you probably know, the author of the book How Not to Die and also the book How Not to Age. One of the things that makes him super cool is that he is kind enough to want to be on a lot of podcasts and share a lot of his knowledge with the world. He also have nutritionfacts.org, which I think you should go check out, and a wonderful app called the Daily Dozen. But the thing is, he say yes to do all of the podcasts he can think about, among others ours, but he only gives us half an hour. So we were in such a rush that I forgot to introduce him. So therefore, this little extra recording. And now on with the interview. First of all, we wanted to welcome you to our podcast. Thank you for sharing your time with us.
I'm happy to be here. Let's do this.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for your books. And I know my wife she read the How Not to Die some years ago, and I could feel the change in our diet. I have been shorter time on this process than she has.
Smart woman.
Took your book to convince him, not me.
Yeah. But I just upped my, I was like, okay, the turmeric, should I try it? And I started trying it, and I have had some trouble with the knees, with some inflammation in. And 3 days in, I was like, this is weird. It worked. So thanks for that.
What a concept. I know. Foods work. I know. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You don't know until you give it a try.
Yeah. So what led you down the path of starting writing all your books and sharing the knowledge in this way? Because you are giving all the knowledge you have on nutrition fact away, and you're donating the income from your books away. So like it's a great gift you're giving. But what made you do all this?
It all really started with my grandma. Actually, I was just a kid when my grandma was diagnosed with end-stage heart disease and sent home in a wheelchair to die, basically. She already had so many bypass surgeries, basically run out of plumbing at some point. So confined to a wheelchair, crushing chest pain, her life was over at age 65.
Wow.
But then she heard about this guy, Nathan Pritikin, one of our early lifestyle medicine pioneers. And what happened next is actually detailed in Pritikin's biography. It talks about Frances Greger, my grandmother. They wheeled her in and she walked out. Though she was given a medical death sentence at age 65, thanks to a healthy diet, was able to enjoy another 31 years on this planet till age 96 to continue to enjoy her 6 grandkids, including me. So that's why I went into medicine. That's why I practice lifestyle medicine, why I started nutritionfacts.org, why I wrote How Not to Die and all my books, and why all the proceeds from all of my books are donated directly to charity. I just want to do for everyone's family what Pritikin did for my family.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Shine the light.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
I started, some of my journey started last year after, you probably know of Brian Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
What tricked something in me or clicked something in me was that he decided to fire Evening Brian. And I really like that concept because in the mornings, I as well have like the strength, the stamina, and I want to do all the healthy stuff. And then in the evening, oh, the snacks just looks at me, and it gets so much easier to fall in with the comfort food. And I actually have a question about comfort food because, I mean, you are all into whole food, plant-based diets. And I heard one of your recent podcasts where you also talk about what the deep frying of the potatoes do versus eating the same amount of fat and salt in normal potatoes.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, but then I'm like, oh, but sometimes I need that comfort food. What can we have you any good suggestions for comfort food that is healthy still?
Well, the important thing, as always, is treat the cause. It's like, so why do you need the comfort food, right? Are you, not sleeping enough? Are you stressed? Are you doing things in life that you don't ordinarily like? And that's kind of balancing it out. and so making those decisions to be like, wait a second, I am going to rearrange my life. I'm going to make decisions about my life that might make my life so amazing that I don't need to, harm my health by going to some, crappy food. Okay, so that would be number one. But, oh, it's your holiday, special occasions, birthday, something. You really want to treat yourself. There's certainly, healthier and less healthy options. The bottom line is basically doesn't matter what you eat on your birthdays, holidays, special occasions. This is the day-to-day stuff that really adds up. And so, basically do whatever you want, but we all know what the healthiest foods are. We all know what the least healthiest foods are. And certainly quantity matters, right? And so smoking one cigarette is different than smoking a pack of cigarettes. And so, we do our best. You don't beat yourself up. And if you get into some, bad habit of, then you just, the next day, just do better. And, realizing that it doesn't really matter where you eat today, tomorrow, next week, but like the next few decades. So you have to find a way to eat that you enjoy and is sustainable for the long term.
And to get into the How Not to Age, your latest book, then to give you a daily dozens of what to eat for not to age. What is your suggestion there? I know people should go read the book. I'm in the process of listening to it, and it is 27 hours together with your voice.
That's a lot. Oh my God, that was it took me 2 weeks to record
Yeah,
that book. That was brutal.
yeah.
Yeah. So the daily dozen checklist of all the healthiest of healthy foods I encourage people to fit into their daily routine was something that started in How Not to Die, right? The first half of the book is just 15 chapters, and each of the 15 leading causes of death. Talk more about the role diet may play in preventing, arresting, or reversing each of our top 15 killers. But I didn't want it to just be a reference book. I wanted to be a practical day-to-day, grocery store kind of guide. And so that's really the second half of the book where I send my recommendations around this daily dozen checklist of healthy foods. So not just, fruits and vegetables every day, but specifically berries, the healthiest fruits, dark green leafy vegetables, the healthiest vegetables. Talk about cruciferous vegetables, a tablespoon of ground flax seeds, a quarter teaspoon of turmeric, the best beverages, how much best sweeteners, how much exercise to get. Again, just kind of as an aspirational, attempt to fit some of the healthiest things into your daily routine. It's available as a free app, iPhone, Android, Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen. You just, check through the list and see if you can do, how well you can do track your progress over time.
Yeah.
Well, I've been using a similar system, just pen and paper, actually, we have 4 children.
Uh-huh.
So it's my agenda is how do I get these habits into my children? And now they are older, they are teenagers. The oldest is actually not a teenager, she's 25, so that's different. But I think from a family point of view, it's one thing is your responsibility for yourself, but when you also have to get this into a 4-year-old and you have to get, tweak it within the reality of extended family, birthday parties. Maybe we don't use kindergarten in school, so for me it's been easier because I have them at home. But that's also a reality. So what I do is not an app, and you can actually just take out a piece of paper and write it down. What is it they need, and how can I put the flaxseed in the porridge, or should I sprinkle it over the avocado sandwich? How do I do this? And just make a plan. It's not actually rocket science. You just have to take your time doing it. I've been doing it over the years.
I know.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah. And I have felt the change in my body. Absolutely. But it's first in the last couple of years I've been on my own journey of cleaning out. And if I have read your book like 10 years ago, it would have been a long list of don't eat this and don't eat this for me. Now it's more you can also add these things.
Nice.
Yeah, I last year when I made some of the lifestyle changes, I went back to an early childhood dream of I want to live to 120.
Okay.
That's my minimum. And I talk with a lot of people, and there's a study you mentioned about how old do people want to be.
Yes.
Can you briefly mention this? Then I have a story afterwards.
Yeah, it's really quite shocking. So people were asked, how long would you want to live? And given, I believe the options were like 80, 150, or the indefinite or something. And most people, to my surprise, chose 80. Like, what? But then they changed it and said, okay, how long do you want to live in good mental and physical health? Oh, then all of a sudden the majority answer switched to indefinitely. People want to live as long as they want to live. And so that brings up the important concept of health span, not just lifespan, the number of years you spend in wellness without major disability, without major chronic disease. So that's kind of a critical point. What's the point of living longer if you can't live it vibrantly?
Yeah. But I was considering what role models I have when I started looking at it and talking with people. And unfortunately, in my nearest family, it's not the best role models for wanting to grow old, because I mean, my dad has diabetes too, and there's some challenges with.
Mom basically died of old age when she was 65.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yikes.
that was yikes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't have that around us.
No, so I'm considering, what should we do to like praise the elderly more so we can see these role models? We have tried to start to look at them, find them around. We walked the Camino 2 years ago with a woman who turned 79 the day we started the Camino.
Nice.
Yeah, that was really nice. We
that's
we could
amazing.
keep up with her. That was
Yeah.
nice. But our
That's
then
great.
17-year-old son, he was walking in front with her husband, kilometers in front of the rest of us. And it was just such a relief to see just have some models, some people who were significantly older than us and just living the good life, teaching us how to walk the Camino. That was really a good thing. But I don't know if people have these models out there, have someone to look at to see that it can be done.
You can use models in both ways, right? So if everyone just grows up with these nice, long-lived, healthy folks, they may kind of take their health for granted and just kind of assume that they're going to go down the same path. But, oh my God, you have a dad with type 2 diabetes. You're like, whoa, maybe I've really got to, clean up my life. Type 2 diabetes is a preventable, arrestable, reversible disease. It's a lifestyle disease. And so it's like, wow, I really have to make healthier choices, because I know if I don't, I may go down a similar path. Type 2 diabetes is the number one cause of adult onset blindness and lower limb amputations and kidney failure, not a disease to be trifled with. And so, you take the role modeling where you can get it, and you take the lessons where you can get it. And maybe that's an even more powerful lesson and will keep you more on the track.
Yeah, when you know what you don't want, you know what you do want.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said living healthy, like, what did you say? How was the phrase? Years with good physical and mental health. So I'm a psychologist, and I think the mental part. Do you think the mental health part is also tied so closely up to diet as the physical health part?
There's certainly less research available. But there's certainly diet and lifestyle interventions have been proven to affect mood, for example. So exercise can elevate mood. Making sure that you're sleeping adequately. There are foods that can affect your mood. There was a study out of the University of Arizona where they randomized people to cut out meat and dairy, thinking that it was the arachidonic acid, this long-chain pro-inflammatory omega-6 fatty acid that was inflaming people's brain, impairing their mood. And within 2 weeks, got a significant improvement in mood. That's the first and fastest example of a randomized controlled dietary intervention to improve mood. So the fact that within weeks, and they thought it was this decrease in neuroinflammation, this arachidonic acid found predominantly in chicken and eggs, but by removing eggs, chicken, and other meat, they were able to improve mood within just 2 weeks. I mean, we know that people who eat healthier feel healthier, but the question is cause and effect. Maybe people that feel healthier go on to eat healthier. I mean, you don't need comfort foods, perhaps, if you don't need to be comforted. And so that's why an interventional trial was so important, where you could actually prove cause and effect, change people's diet, change people's mood. There are some studies also on generalized anxiety disorder, but very few studies on major mental illness in terms of bipolar and schizophrenia. And so there really should be more research into this area.
Yeah, that's scarce. It's not like it's just not as simple.
No, I was actually hoping it might be your next book now, with how not to die, how not to diet, how not to age, then
How not to go crazy.
how not to go crazy.
It is actually on my list. It's
Oh, great.
I think it's
Looking forward to
2031 is my mental health book. There's a pain book, How Not to Hurt, next on pain management, then cancer, then mental health.
I will look
Looking
forward
forward
to
to
2031. Then we will
And actually, the reason I put it at the end is not because I didn't think it was less important, but there's just not a lot of research. But by then, hopefully, there'll be more research.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
I'm curious, with all the research you and your team have went through, did you start out plant-based already before you went down all your research?
It was July 1990 with the publication of Dr. Dean Ornish's Lifestyle Heart Trial, which is the first randomized controlled trial suggesting that the healthy enough plant-based diet could reverse the progression of heart disease, our number one killer. So that's really what caused me to change my diet. But look, I already had that experience with my grandmother, so I already knew it. I had that personal experience, but it really didn't hit me until, it was published, in the Lancet, one of the most prestigious medical journals in the world. There it was in black and white. You look around the world and there were just crickets. Like, here we are with a potential cure for our number one killer, hundreds of thousands of people dying every year. Yet,
Yeah.
the people were just not, it was just not being folded into kind of mainstream medicine.
But and that's why I'm very happy you share nutrition facts with the world, because there's so much money in the medical industry that is funding research that I mean, when I talk with my mom, who has is it called brittle bones in English, then she still believes she needs her half a liter of milk every day, because that's what her doctor tells her based on the knowledge he has. And it's very difficult to come from she look at me as a son with a more hippie vibe. She's like, yeah, but where's the research about that?
Vibe or wife?
Both.
Yeah, doctors have a severe nutrition deficiency in education. And most doctors just never taught about the impact healthy nutrition can have on the course of illness. So they graduate without this powerful tool in their medical toolbox. Now, there's also institutional barriers, there's time constraints, lack of reimbursement. In general, doctors aren't paid for telling people how to take better care of themselves. Of course, drug companies also play a role in medical education and practice in terms of their influence. You can ask your doctor when's the last time they were taken out to dinner by Big Broccoli. It's probably been a while.
Yeah. No, I was actually considering if you were like on the hit list of some of the big pharmaceutical companies.
I wish.
Yeah.
That's when you're having an impact on the world, when you end up dead in a ditch.
Yeah. No, I hope I hope not.
It's easy for us here and now to talk about how they're the big money, big companies, big pharma is against and has an agenda against a change for people to become healthier and live a plant-based life. I'm just thinking, I mean, why is it so hard in general to choose the good thing? Most people do know, and yet even you still talk about comfort food.
Oh, yes.
And you wouldn't think a potato with olive oil and, I don't know, chopped herbs
Yeah.
would be comfort food.
No,
But
there is a quick
I mean,
fix
so
in the bag of crisps.
why is it so hard? What makes it so hard for us to choose the good thing? Because once you've done it, once you're doing it, you feel so good. You can't imagine, you don't want that bullshit in your body. You just want to feel good.
Yeah. Well, it's these are our natural biological urges, which are exploited by the processed food industry. So we have a natural craving for sodium, right? Because we evolved in a context of, no salt shakers or KFC out on the African savannah. We also evolved in the context of scarcity. So we have a craving for calorie density, for sugary foods, fatty foods, but that craving for ripe fruit and nuts and tubers, has been taken advantage of by the industry to create these hyper sweet, hyper fatty, hyper salty foods to deaden our palates such that normal natural food no longer tastes any good. So, I mean, the ripest peach in the world would taste sour after a bowl of Fruit Loops, right?
Mm-hmm.
But an amazing thing happens when you start eating healthier is that your palate actually changes. Your taste buds only last about 2 weeks, or replaced every 2 weeks. And so if you go long enough, the major studies were done with low salt diets, where you start out on a low salt diet, everything tastes like cardboard, and you're like, "There's no way I can live my life like this." But then something amazing happens. You start with soup salted to taste. Then after a few weeks, you give people the same soup that they salted before, and it's actually too salty. You actually prefer a lower salt soup once your palate has had a chance to adapt. So you get to a point where all of a sudden you're eating corn on the cob, no butter, no salt, and it's actually delicious. People see me, eating some microwave sweet potato with a little cinnamon on it, and they look at me like I'm some aesthetic monk. And they're like, "Oh, wow, it's amazing. You could do that, but I could never do that." They don't understand. No, no, it's not a deprivation. It's actually delicious, like
Yeah.
craveably delicious.
Mm.
But it certainly wouldn't have been if I had just been eating Hot Pockets and God knows what else. And so it's just, there's this activation energy. There's just a few weeks you have to go through, where until your taste buds change, then all of a sudden, best of both worlds, tastes good, and you get to live longer. That's what plant-based eating is all about.
Oh, yes. What is based on all the knowledge you have gotten during writing all those books and going through all that research, what have you personally changed?
Oh, I change stuff all the time. I mean, people don't realize I learned as much writing these books as people get reading these books. Like, I wasn't taught this stuff in medical school. In fact, there are entire fields of study, like microRNAs, weren't even discovered when I graduated from medical school. And so, it's been a tremendous learning experience. In terms of things that I've kind of personally changed, or things that were kind of particularly surprising to me. Well, the exercise thing was surprising, and how not to age, the sleep, the resveratrol, red wine, NAD supplements, vitamin D, the fish thing, protein restriction, microRNAs, the list goes on and on. So I started eating papales, which is this long pepper spice I'd never heard of before. I started eating more strawberries. Now I eat strawberries every day, because of the fisetin, which is found, which is most concentrated in strawberries. Wheat germ every day for the spermidine. So I never did wheat germ. My mom in the 70s, it was a nice health food hippie. She was trying to give me wheat germ, but she was right. Mom was right all along.
Yeah, I'm afraid
car,
my mom was right in the 70s as well.
Cardamom. I'm eating more tempeh because of the ergothioneine and the spermidine. I started growing my own oyster mushrooms.
Cool.
Yeah, so all sorts of changes just because of all the stuff I learned. I was like, "Oh my God, I had no idea this is so good for me." Sure, I'll sprinkle it on, no big deal.
Yeah.
Do you get overwhelmed by the
Um,
number of information, like the nuances, that sheet of paper I
yeah.
talked
No,
about earlier?
I'm always concerned about that. I don't want to intimidate people. People look at the size of my books. Like, I'm not to age 13,000 citations. I mean, it's just, monstrosity. But like, if you look at the conclusion, it's really about, let's go back to the basics.
Mm.
You know, even the most simple, common sense lifestyle behaviors, not smoking, eating more fruits and vegetables, not being overweight, daily exercise, can mean literally looking a decade longer. And so, that'll like get you 80% of the way there. Now, look, if you want to keep tweaking, there's all sorts of things. Look, Brian Johnson's got $1 million worth of things you could add on to that, right? But it's important to realize that most of the benefit is really the low-hanging fruit, no pun intended. And then, yes, once you got the basics down, sure, you want to, power up, that's fine. But I don't think people are really taking advantage of all the really easy stuff that could get you really most of the way there. And look, if people even stop there, just do the basics, oh my God, we'd have such a healthier society. Even if they just got rid of soda, just got rid of processed meat, just added beans, berries, greens, just a few things added, a few things taken away, go a long way towards improving the public's health.
We were actually visiting, as we are full-time travelers, visiting the States here in the spring, and we went into a supermarket with no fresh produce, and we were shocked. It was like, what is going on?
It took me literally, it was me.
Yeah.
You were not there. You were buying dog food with
Yeah,
our daughter.
yeah.
Took me 45 minutes to realize it's not that I can't find it. It's not there. I cannot buy a carrot here.
Amazing. And look,
I'm still shocked. It's been more than 6 months.
Yeah.
Even in a supermarket that does have produce, what percentage of that supermarket is dedicated to the produce aisle, right?
Yeah.
Often the produce is just a loss leader. They actually don't make money on the produce. They just want people to come in frequently. So then you go in the checkout aisle and buy some chips and soda, which is really where the money is made. The produce goes bad. It's perishable, rots on the shelf. It's the worst thing to sell. What you want is a snack cake that lasts on the shelf for a few weeks, sell people bottles of brown sugar water. That's how you make money. You don't make money selling real food.
No.
Right now we have the extreme reverse, if I can just say that. I know we're in the south of England, south of London. This is the upper class of a very wealthy country, and the shops I shop in now,
it's
not supermarkets, it's biodynamic farms.
Wow.
So there is no processed food. I can only get
stuff. You're making me jealous.
Supermarket for 3 weeks, and I just love it.
And one of them have like tap your own spring water here. It's so crazy good. Yeah.
Wow.
No, but I have a question about, the whole industry selling supplements, they would love it. There was like the solution in a pill. And I have looked at our own supplement use from time to time and been like, oh, I think I need to ask him, which one would you recommend that is difficult to get in the food? And I say difficult because most of it can be.
Sure, right. In general, we really should get our nutrients from the produce aisle, not the supplement aisle. But there are a few exceptions now, just because of the way we live in our modern world. For example, vitamin D. Living in the UK, for example, during the winter months, the sun's rays are at such an angle that even if you went out and sunbathed naked by the Thames all day, you would just not make enough vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin. And so at that kind of latitude, I mean, we evolved running around naked in equatorial Africa, getting baked in the sun all day. We just weren't, we didn't evolve to be these kind of latitudes during these kind of months with all these clothes and shelter. And so if you get inadequate sun exposure, then 2,000 international units of vitamin D3 a day is probably a good idea. Again, it can be gotten naturally. You can get it through sunlight, but most people just aren't getting enough kind of midday sun at the right times of the year, the right latitudes.
And they look weird at me when I shop naked here. They don't like it.
They don't.
But we are going to Spain.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. All right.
No,
another important supplement for people that are eating healthy, eating plant-based diets, is vitamin B12. Critically important. It's important to get a regular, reliable source of vitamin B12. And so that's 2,000 micrograms once a week is all you need. Super cheap, but something critically important to do.
And that's all.
We do look, if you're an alcoholic, if you're pregnant, there's other situations in which Different supplements can be useful for people. Some people have certain allergies or bariatric surgery, or, and they just don't absorb things, right? But kind of in general, it's really about, getting our nutrition from plants.
Foods. Okay.
Yeah, and then a lot of people would save on their budget and could buy real produce because the
Even better.
supplements are
I
not
love it.
cheap.
Right,
Yeah,
right, right.
yeah.
I love it.
All right. So I know you are a wonderful busy man because you share your time with a lot of people. Where do people find more information if they want to follow along? If you can share this with us and our listeners, we would be very grateful.
Nutritionfacts.org is where you can get all my work free. You can go to your local public library, check out any of my books, and encourage people to learn the good news that we have tremendous power over our health, destiny, and longevity, and that the vast majority of premature death and disability is preventable with a healthy enough diet and lifestyle.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for letting all
Safe
that out.
travels. Safe
Yes.
travels.
Yes.
I'm jealous about your grocery shopping, but
Oh, it's
Oh,
amazing.
it's amazing.
fantastic. All right,
Yeah,
stay
it was a
warm.
big pleasure having you on, and thank you for all you do for the world.
Yeah.
Thanks a
Keep
lot.
up the great work.